Thank you, Diane. That was lovely. So good morning on this finally sunny Sunday morning. We have had so much rain. Everything is so beautifully green but soggy. So hopefully the rain will hold off until maybe 4 or 5 days. We'll see. So my name is Mary Blanton, and I'm your service coordinator today. I see some new faces. Would anybody be interested in standing up and introducing themselves so we can welcome you? No pressure, just if you want to. If not, just wave. Okay, I get the message. So happy Mother's Day. Though not all of us are mothers, we all have a mother. So today is the day to say a special thank you to our mothers. The tradition of recognizing mothers dates back centuries, with celebrations in ancient Greece and Rome honoring goddesses associated with motherhood. In England, Mothering Sunday, a religious observance, was celebrated on the 4th Sunday of Lent. Anna Jarvis, inspired by her mother's dedication, is widely credited with creating the modern American version of Mother's Day. She organized the first Mother's Day celebration in 1908 in Grafton, West Virginia. Her efforts led to state and eventually federal recognition of the holiday. In 1914, President Wilson issued a proclamation declaring the second Sunday in May as National Mother's Day. In my childhood, my mother was very cynical about Mother's Day and dismissed it as a Hallmark card gimmick, so we never celebrated it. I think she felt we should appreciate all that she did for us every day, rather than only once a year. Today, our minister, Leon Dunkley, will be giving the reflection. We're so glad to have you back, Leon, after 3 weeks away. And we now have large print orders of service and the hymns, if you need them, and also hearing devices. So if anyone would like one and hasn't already gotten one, just raise your hand and nope, we'll bring it to you. So there are a couple of announcements. First, Amy.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Mother's Day. Soup! Does that bring back memories of our beautiful Wendy Smith? We haven't made an announcement in a while, but our box out there is pretty empty. There's one thing of salad dressing in there, and I think it was in there the last time I was here too. So we're letting up on our efforts for bringing in food for the food shelf. And I heard on the radio just, I think it was last week, that due to the federal cutbacks, the Vermont food bank, where we get most of our meat and lots of our other food, is getting less money. And so they aren't able to provide our local Woodstock Community Food Shelf with meat all the time. And so I know that they would appreciate anything that you all would like to do for the food shelf. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Last Saturday, a number of us, about 20 people from North Chapel, attended the Migrant Justice Workshop at the Little Theater, given by a group of migrants from up in Burlington area. It was really, really wonderful. And I've compiled most of the information. I'm putting more of it together, and I'll have a packet available. Should anybody want one, I can email it to you, and you'll have an idea of what to do when ICE comes to town. So just let me know, send me an email. I'm Joanne, I work here in the office, and my address is all over our website, so you should be able to find me. Thanks.
Thank you, Joanne. So as always, there are these things happening and many other things happening at the North Chapel this time of year. So on Tuesday at 6:30 in the social hall, the committee cafe will be meeting. Bring your own supper. We love to have people not just from the committees, but anybody who's interested in being on a committee or just seeing what people do. Please feel free to bring your bag supper and come. And then next Sunday is the second concert in our chamber music series. For more information on all of the things that are happening in the North Chapel, you can either look in your order of service or on our website. So Tatum is away this week, but Brianne is going to be helping with the children, so thank you so much. And last, please turn off anything that buzzes, jingles, or beeps. Last Saturday in California, I attended a memorial service held in the UU Church of the Desert, celebrating my sister-in-law Diana's life. As a lifelong friend, I was grateful to be able to speak about our friendship during the service. Diana was only 7 years younger than I, but she came of age in the second wave of feminism, when the second wave of feminism was in full swing. The 70s were a heady time when women were told they could have it all. She went to business school and had a successful career with several nonprofits. As a mother of 2 children, she was often torn between work and mothering. Her 2 children spoke lovingly and honestly about their relationship with her. Mother-daughter and mother-son relationships can be complicated, and we mothers don't always get it right. It was refreshing to hear them talk about the challenges in their relationship and how they all work together to understand one another and build an open, loving relationship. As we celebrate mothers today, I would like to read a poem by Billy Collins. The Lanyard. The other day I was ricocheting slowly off the blue walls of this room, moving as if underwater from typewriter to piano, from bookshelf to envelope lying on the floor, when I suddenly found myself in the L section of the dictionary, where my eyes fell upon the word lanyard. No cookie nibbled by a French novelist could send one into the past more suddenly. A past where I sat at a workbench at camp by a deep Adirondack lake, learning how to braid long, thin plastic strips into a lanyard, a gift for my mother. I had never seen anyone use a lanyard, or wear one, if that's what you did with them. But that did not keep me from crossing strand over strand again and again until I had made a boxy red and white lanyard for my mother. She gave me life and milk from her breasts. I gave her a lanyard. She nursed me in many a sick room, lifted spoons of medicine to my lips, and then led me out into the airy light and taught me to walk and swim, and I, in turn, presented her with a lanyard. Here are thousands of meals, she said, and here is clothing and a good education, and here is your lanyard, I replied, which I made with a little help from my counselor. Here is a breathing body and a beating heart, strong legs, bones, and teeth, and 2 clear eyes to read the world, she whispered. And here, I said, is the lanyard I made at camp. And here, I wish to say to her now, is a smaller gift, not the worn truth that you can never repay your mother, but the rueful admission that when she took the 2-tone lanyard from my hand, I was as sure as a boy could be that this useless, worthless thing I wove out of boredom would be enough to make us even. We will now have a moment of silence.
I got this picture in the mail this week. It's of a 22-year-old Adelie Wilcox. Adelie is the daughter of Adeline, and I met this one about 17 years ago when she was 5 or so, and I just can't believe how beautiful she is. So I'm a little bit touched on this Mother's Day, wanting to send my own mother a great deal of appreciation and love for how beautiful she makes the world. We have seen it before in times of great sorrow, that human compassion will flow from a well that has long run dry. Good morning and good Sunday. I hope that this new day finds you well. It's Mother's Day. Today is Sunday, May the 11th, and this morning's reflection is entitled, His Mother is Peace. It is a Mother's Day reflection on love and necessity. It is a prayer for peace and a meditation on the spirit of life. So happy Mother's Day, everyone. It's a beautiful thing that all of us are family. To come in the spirit of peace is to know equity and compassion, not righteousness. Righteousness stands at a distance from the spirit of peace. To walk the path of prayer is to know justice and humility, not pride. Pride often leads us away from the path of prayer. To choose the way of freedom is to choose a fearless love that mothers tend to know, a fearless love to live by, a fearless love that sings the spirit of life. Good morning, everyone. It's good to be together. If I were sufficiently skilled, or if one were sufficiently skilled, one could miss the obvious in life. It takes practice, but it's possible. I am skilled enough to miss the obvious, to miss the point. There may be others who are as lucky as I am. I miss the punchlines half the time. I'm bad at remembering good jokes. I'm really good at remembering the bad ones. I catastrophize about things sometimes, especially when I watch the news. That's part of my family training. One of the traits I got from my mom and from my sister. Spirit stares me right in the face sometimes, and still I feel alone, because I am highly skilled at missing the obvious. There's a story about the man before whom the holy suddenly appeared. God stood fully revealed one day at sunset in an open field. This holy vision made the man breathless. It shocked his senses to the bone, and he wanted to share his witness with somebody. He didn't want to keep the miracle all to himself. He wanted to show others. He wanted to see if others could see the same thing that he saw. So he runs to his neighbor's house, his highly skilled neighbor's house. It could have been my house. And he pounds on the door. He's God-struck. He's so excited. His soul is tingling. He has goosebumps. He's all but jumping up and down. His neighbor answers the door, sees his great excitement immediately. The God-struck man is so happy when he sees his neighbor's face. He doesn't say hello. He just gets right down to it. He says, "Friend, I have seen the holy. It appeared right before my eyes. I saw it in the open field. And it's still there. Do you want to see it?" And the neighbor said, Of course I do. Show me. I want to see it too. Can you point it out to me?" And the man said, "Yes, I can." And he pointed to the open field in the east, away from the sun at sunset, and said, "It's still there. Can you see it?" And the highly skilled neighbor said, "Maybe, yes. Maybe I see it. I think I do. Is it to the right or to the left of that great big burning bush out there?" The passage is from Exodus. The angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. Moses said, "I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned." Nothing burns without consequence. It's just possible to miss the point sometimes. It's possible to miss the obvious. I can be like that neighbor. I can miss the obvious sometimes. That's why I long for colleagues as much as I do, especially these days. As you may know, I am in the middle of a heavy ministers' conference season. There was just a conference in Virginia and followed by another one in Massachusetts. In between them, I took an 83-mile walk through Maine for peace. There's also an upcoming conference in New Hampshire and then General Assembly in Baltimore, after which I will be done with conferences for a while. I won't be sick of my colleagues. That doesn't happen, but I won't want to see them for a long time. And yet I will still long for them somehow. No matter what, I long for the wise ones. I long for the ones who are deeply drawn by the spirit of peace, by the path of prayer, by the choice of freedom and fearlessness. I do not long for company as an antidote for loneliness. I long for spiritual companionship. Do you ever long for that? I don't long for company of someone who will tell me that I should see the burning bush. I long for companionship, for someone who will hold me in my sorrow when I cannot see the holy, or when I see it only in my own way. When I miss the point, when I don't get the joke, when I fall down and skin my knee. I long for someone to hold me as I heal and grow and become myself. This is what mothers do. From the moment of conception, they offer quiet companionship as we become ourselves. They offer peace and they bring us to life. Now, I long for the companionship of colleagues. Women like Reverends Carolyn Paterno and Reverend Ellen Spiro and Reverend Aaliyah Kemmler. We just gathered in Massachusetts for the All New England retreat near Hyannis. Carolyn and Ellen and Aaliyah offered a beautiful reflection. It was the most beautiful part of the conference. It was, at least for me. They talked about the power of connection. They talked about truly supporting one another. And I thought to myself, we do this at North Chapel as a community. Ellen and Carolyn and Aaliyah have a practice of supporting one another. They've developed an enduring practice, a long-term practice over years. They don't live nearby one another, so they have to travel from time to time. They pick a spot in the middle, equidistant from each of their locations. They set aside time, they drive, they meet up with one another regularly. They meet up slightly off the beaten path for privacy. They meet at an average deli, and they start by ordering pickles. And they always finish with a lemony dessert. Over the course of a couple hours, they talk and they really see each other. They talk about their families. They talk about the burning issues. They cry, they laugh, they say wise things sometimes. They call themselves the Deli Llamas. I think they need concert t-shirts and a tour bus. They do not. They don't see the holy in the same way that I do, and that's okay. No one of us really does. We each have our own way. We see or feel things for ourselves. It has always been this way. Ellen and Carolyn and Aaliyah don't see the holy as I do, but it's not like they're missing the point. They're just humble and so lovely. And what does the holy say about humility? What does Micah say from the Bible? That Micah says that the holy asks of us just three things: to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. Now, whether or not we deeply read the Bible, it's good advice. These weren't orders, these weren't a set of rules to govern our behavior or to limit our misbehavior. No, not something like no horseplay around the swimming pool. These were not laws designed to keep the public obedient and safely in line. This was the posture of all of Jerusalem that would allow it to defend itself against the threat of tyranny. Humility was the posture that allowed Jerusalem to defend itself against the threat of tyranny. It's in the book of Micah. After the kingdoms of Israel had split, after violating their covenant, Micah warned that there would be judgment and consequences. Assyria would come, Babylon would come, and they would take over Jerusalem. Micah's warning was also a message of hope. Hope for the future restoration and redemption. The judgment would bring fire and smoke and an earthquake because some had become wealthy through theft and greed, and because the prophets had become corrupt, happy to offer the promises of God's protection to those who could afford to pay. Wealthy thieves, corrupt prophets. Does that sound familiar? The things to remember is that God's ultimate purpose in this story was not to punish, but to save and redeem. Fire and brimstone types leave that out sometimes. What might those warnings have looked like back in the day? What might it have felt like to receive them? Would it have felt like redemption at the time, or would it have felt more like punishment? What does it sound like when modern day Micahs issue stiff warnings today? Coming in the spirit of peace means knowing equity and compassion. Walking in the path of prayer means knowing justice and humility. Singing in the spirit of life means knowing and naming a holy thing. It means opening up ourselves to that sacred place within. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free, spirit of life, come to me. God, I resonate with this. And I realize that not everyone resonates as I do or is comfortable with the word God, or even believe that God exists. I do. I do believe in God, but I have not been given cause to disbelieve. Or maybe I have rejected the causes that I have been given to disbelieve. I understand that those who disbelieve do so for good reason. I stand by them, side by side. I stand side by side with those who have suffered on the fault lines of a broken church. I walk hand in hand with those who have been injured by a human frailty, absurdly and toxically magnified by the apologists of a broken theology. I march arm in arm with those who fight back against dysfunction that dresses up like the holy and tears at the tenderest places in us. The places of our strong and impossibly fragile and resilient human souls. I stand and I walk and I march with doubt, despair, and disbelief, and still something rises in me. I want to believe that something rises in us. Martin Buber is a Jewish theologian, and he was famous for saying that we are a promise-making, promise-keeping people, but that's not what he said. He's famous for saying that because that's the easy part. That's the part that's the Hallmark card. It's a distortion of what he actually said. Buber was more challenging, more real. Martin Buber said that we are a promise-making, promise-breaking, promise-renewing, promise-keeping people. Making, breaking, renewing, keeping. This is more realistic, less contractual, more life-affirming, more breathable, less imprisoning, more human, more lived. Yes, I would like to believe that a promise is solid and fixed, one and done, stamped and approved, signed, sealed, and delivered. I want to believe that. I want to believe that our promises will never be broken, but time and wisdom and witness do not support my desire. Good mothers tell us to pay attention to time and wisdom and witness, even though these things can hurt us sometimes. Still, it is not cause enough for disbelief, not for me. There is hardship in life, and no God, I know, keeps us safe from every hardship. Sometimes God imposes hardship. Ask Micah, ask Job, ask Jesus, for crying out loud. Even Jesus died, right? I almost said ask Jesus for Christ's sake, but I didn't want to have to unpack it. That's a whole different sermon. Jesus doubted and disbelieved. The way I see it, which is to say, the way I have found that helps me to survive my own life well. The way I see it, God knows that I won't learn very quickly from joy. God knows that I'll just roll around like a puppy and luxuriate in it when joy is present in my life. And God even knows that I will long pretend that joy is present just for the pleasure of rolling around and luxuriating. I will pretend even when I know that joy is gone from me, when joy is gone like a high-flying bird. Of such a loss, a poet writes, my high-flying bird has flown from out my arms. She thought myself her keeper, and she thought I meant her harm. She thought I was an archer, a weatherman of words, but I would never shoot down my high-flying bird. Elton John and Bernie Taupin wrote those words in 1973. They still ring true this morning. That joy cannot be contained. It's something that always must be free. This morning's reflection is entitled, His Mother is Peace, because it's Mother's Day and we honor those who give and gave us life. My mom is a joy, even when she's not. Because she's human and because she's flawed, just like every mother is, just like all of us are. Some more than others, it seems, maybe or maybe not. But all of us are imperfect, even mothers, and I want to stay real about that. I don't want to put my own good mother in a joyless cage just because she's flawed like me. Flawed or not, mothers are joy. Mothers are givers of life. My own mother wouldn't stay in a joyless cage even if she tried. No mother can, for a mother's name is joy, and a mother's name is peace, and a mother's name is love, no matter how flawed she may be. Try being a mother for a day, if you have an attitude about it. It's the hardest job on earth, and not everyone does it well, but it's also the most beautiful possible thing. In 12 days, I will be 60. Year 60 is the end of denial. They say that 40 is the new 20, and that 50 is the new 35. I think 60 for me is just the new 60. Hard stop. It's the end of my denial, but I'm also pretty much into it. I'm blessed to still be able to celebrate Mother's Day with my mom, who's down in New Jersey. Not everyone is as fortunate as I am. I know that many of us may have lost our mothers or our fathers, maybe years ago, maybe recently, and now have only their memories to honor, to cherish, and appreciate. A friend of mine lost his mom when he was 7. I'm almost 60, and I wish that I could share my mom with him. She'd love that. This friend of mine tells his story publicly. I'm not speaking out of turn. The way he says it this way. He says, my name is Mosen, like Moses, with an N. I am a third-generation Palestinian refugee. I saw fear and horror all of my life. With my own eyes, I saw too much. At the age of 7, I lost my mother. At the age of 8, my little brother perished in my arms. I buried him with my hands. Mohsen Madawi also lost his best friend as a child and lost his uncle and countless others. He witnessed violence, impossible things, and still something rises in him. I would like to believe that something rises in us because we have seen it before in times of great sorrow, that human compassion will flow from a well that has long run dry. Mohsen Mandawi says, from pain and healing, from fear to love, from suffering to joy, from anger and revenge to forgiveness, destiny led me to hope. I believe that something within us rises when it needs to rise, when it is necessary to rise. They say that necessity is the mother of invention. Peace is the mother of the one named Mohsen Mandawi. For those who may not know, Mohsen is a part of the Unitarian Universalist community of the Upper Valley, right here in Vermont. He's a member of the community of the First Universalist Society in Heartland, our sister church just a few miles from here. That church is one of his homes. He has spoken from our free pulpit, if I'm not mistaken, right here at North Chapel. He's a 34-year-old third-generation Palestinian refugee. He's a student at Columbia University in New York City. He is part of the Ivy League that is presently under siege. In April, he was arrested during an interview about finalizing his citizenship status. He knowingly walked into what he thought might be a trap. He was suspicious. He called his representatives and asked what to do. They said, don't go. He went anyway and willingly submitted to his arrest. They took him to the airport. He was bound for El Salvador or bound for Louisiana or bound for God knows where, but they missed their flight by minutes. They missed their flight by 9 minutes. For this, he was able to powerfully contest his entrapment, his arrest, and his detention. His ACLU lawyers worked diligently. The activist community responded powerfully and passionately and with grace in more ways than one. And on April the 30th, he was freed from custody by a federal judge in Burlington. We were there, right. We were there, many of us were there, as Vermont State Senator Becca White burst through the doors shouting out into April's last sunshine, "He is free, he's free." I have a picture of it, it's terrible. It's a bunch of heads with only the back of her hands and her red nail polish, which is how I know it's her. Mohsen walked through the doors and his team of lawyers walked calmly behind him. And Mohsen said, what did they do to me? They arrested me. What is the reason? Because I raised my voice and said no to war, yes to peace. Mohsen expressed his grief, our grief. In time, I pray, the whole world's grief for the many thousands gone in Palestine. He told us that he was not afraid. He gave us strength. He reminded us that freedom and justice will prevail. He said that what we are witnessing now, we are witnessing that the fight for justice in America, which is a fight for true democracy, and the fight for justice for Palestinians, which means a full liberation, are interconnected because no one of us is free unless all of us are free. Of course, the mother of this thought was Martin Luther King, who maintained that injustice anywhere was a threat to justice everywhere. After Mohsen spoke, we sang. Martin's spirit was still in the air, Martin Luther King's spirit and Pete Seeger's spirit. And we sang, "We shall overcome, we shall overcome, we shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday." And then, at his request, at Mohsen Mandawi's request, we sang a song called "Spirit of Life." because Mohsen is a part of this community. Mohsen put his left arm around the back of one of his spiritual leaders, as if to say, I've got your back. And I put my right arm around the back of one of my dearest colleagues, as if to say, I've got your back. And our two arms overlapped like rivers, and our eyes met for the first time in song. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. It was miraculous. That's the moment that is pictured on the front of your orders of service. And as we walked away from the magic of that moment, I ran into a woman named Salam, a graceful woman, a Palestinian woman, a powerful woman, Mohsen's adopted mother. I met her for the first time a few weeks ago in Heartland. I was very happy to see her again. She is a wonderful soul. I feel deeply connected to her somehow. If it's true that necessity is the mother of invention, then peace is the mother of the one named Mohsen, like Moses, with an N. In other words, Mohsen's mother is peace. His mother is peace. Peace. Shalom. Salam. His mother's name is Salam. Of course, in Arabic, salam means peace. His mother's name is peace. His mother is truly peace. How better to celebrate this year's Mother's Day. Peace. Shalom. Salam. Deeply inside of us is a peace that we can call on to find one another, honestly, in our strength, in our beauty, and in our love. May we be guided by the peace that is within us, grounded strong enough to see the peace in one another, the joy in those who have come before and may come after, the gratitude in the eyes of our mothers who have birthed us, and the sunshine rather than the rain. May it be so. Blessed be. And amen.